We're in it, gang. A historic shift is unfolding all around us. The fall of globalism, the rise of a new conservative age, and I explain exactly what's happening and why in my most important book yet, America Awakened. This book gives you the full picture, how we got here, what it means, and what you need to know to be on the right side of history. So don't wait. Go to americaawaken.us and join the early access list today. The next chapter has already begun.
That just under 30 minutes here.
Well, one, it went longer than I anticipated. But there were four things that jumped out at me. One, the level of secrecy of this mission. The fact that you had planes that flew from the continental United States. From Missouri, and flew for, I think it said, 18 hours with multiple refueling in the air. The second thing, what jumped out to me was just the execution of this massive plan involving the U.S. military, seemingly in multiple theaters. You know, this decoy you were talking about went to the Pacific to take away from what was happening the other way. The other thing that jumped out at me was that when the chairman of the Joint Chiefs said no Iranian planes flew and no shots were fired at any of the U.S. military jets, all of that to me is just from what they're telling us, is rather impressive.
Even the ultra-leftist MSNBC is impressed with the astonishing success of Operation Midnight Hammer, and the polls that are coming in are showing President Trump soaring right along with that success. Wait until you see this. This is going to absolutely blow you away. Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to make sense of all the insanity. So if you want a front row seat on how you are changing the world in ways you couldn't have even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Take a look at these polls. This is the latest from Trafalgar over the weekend, when the most accurate pollsters, by the way, from 2024, Trump is clocking in at a 54.4% approval rating. That's during the period of the 18th to the 20th, just before he announced the strike in Iran. And it's not just Trafalgar, RMG. Again, one of the more accurate pollsters has Trump at 53% approval. This again over this past weekend. And take a look at this. This is what's driving these poll numbers. Young voters. Now, this is from Insider Advantage. Again, one of the most accurate pollsters from 2024. Take a look at these numbers for voters under 40, okay, between 18 and 39. Trump's got a 61% approval. It's a plus 24 over his negatives. 54% approval for those between the ages of 40 and 64. So 64 and under, we're talking like getting close to supermajority levels. And then the boomers. And then God bless you, boomers. But the majority of your cohort hates Trump. 38% approval. The post-World War II crowd wants a return to the liberal world order. Unfortunately for them, it ain't coming back. It is dead. Regardless, these brand new polls correspond to what we saw at the end of the week. Last week, we talked about this in our live stream Friday. Rasmussen's overnight polling on June 18th was simply astonishing. 56% approval. Again, right around these other polls. 55.98% to be exact. And again, it wasn't just Rasmussen. Insider Advantage had Trump with a 54% approval. That's a plus 10 over his negative. So clearly, Trump has found a sweet spot in the polling. And of course, that begs the question. What are we going to see as a result of these strikes against Iran's nuclear sites over the weekend? The key to polling for any president after a military operation, bottom line, is whether the operation was successful or not. Bottom line. If it was successful, Trump will get credit, even from the likes of MSNBC. If it was a failure, then he takes a polling hit. And that's, of course, what happened to Biden after the disastrous Afghanistan pullout. He never recovered from August of 2021. Never. Not at any point. Trump has to avoid ultimately two pitfalls here. He has to avoid the appearance of an operational disaster akin to Iraq under George W. Bush, where we lost over 4,000 troops in endless ongoing battles, or Carter's failed hostage rescue mission, or Biden's disastrous Afghanistan pullout. Trump has got to avoid that, which appears that he has, and he has to avoid appearing indifferent and dismissive to the various calamities and cost of living crises that ordinary Americans face here at home every single day. So this is what doomed the Bush senior presidency. He had what was without question one of the most spectacular military accomplishments in modern politics in Desert Storm. So he avoided the first pitfall, but he fell victim to the second. And that's how Bill Clinton was able to win. Clinton swooped in and with a Southern populist charm, he promised to give as much time and attention to average Americans and their struggles as Bush Sr. was giving conducting the war overseas, ignoring Americans. And thus far, Trump appears to have done both. He waged an incredibly successful operation against something very much akin to Maverick. Even Matt Gaetz is saying that. Tom Cruise could have been the star of this operation, Midnight Hammer. And at the same time, Trump is pivoted almost immediately to the all-important domestic agenda, saying now that now's the time to pass the big, beautiful bill, which it looks like the Senate is going to do. And he's very wisely exploiting the bombing to ratchet up deportations, warning of pro-Iranian sleeper cells in the nation that got in during the Biden years. So if the undeniable success of the bombing operation appeased the neocons in the Senate enough to pass the big, beautiful bill, which it looks like it has, Senate Majority Leader John Thune has just announced that they are not going on recess break until they pass the big, beautiful bill. So that's good. That looks like that's a done deal. So if it looks like he's getting the big, beautiful bill done, and as if this bombing serves as pretext for increased deportations, then Trump should score big from all of this, both internationally and domestically. But there's another reason why Trump's polls will continue to soar, and this is the most important reason of them all.
We will stand bravely, dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun.
Wow, it's such an exciting time to be alive. As we speak, America's regaining its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful and prosperous nation on earth. We have so much to celebrate already. Safer borders, the dismantling of DEI, permission to drill, baby drill, and $1 trillion in new investments released into the economy. We stand on the precipice of what would be known as the most prosperous time in American history. The only question is, will you be an active participant in the golden age, or are you just going to sit passively by on the sidelines watching everyone else build wealth? Well, if you want to be the former, then I urge you to join me and my good friend Mark Wilburn at the Golden Age Summit on Thursday, June 26 at 4 p.m. Eastern. Mark is a stock market expert whose recent recommendations have led to returns of over 200%. He's an amazing teacher and has a knack for demystifying the market so everyday Americans can participate in this golden age we're now in. But don't wait. Seating registration is limited, so click on that link below right now and register today, and I'll see you for an event that promises to change your life. The destruction of the 3 Iranian nuclear sites at Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan on Saturday night, by all accounts, was operationally perfect, in complete contrast to the previous Middle East failures like the 1980 Carter rescue mission and the 2021 Afghanistan withdrawal. As such, Operation Midnight Hammer represents decisive consequences for Iran's half-century effort of killing Americans, promising death to the United States and Israel, and attempting to murder a United States president. Now, the fundamental question is how Trump's base, that is almost allergic to overseas military inventions, and frankly, rightly so, how are they going to respond to this? The fundamental reason why I believe Trump's poll numbers will only continue to climb is because his attraction is literally mythic in nature and is therefore able to transcend any one particular issue. So we've talked about this before, but Trump's mass appeal is not ideological. It's not political. It's not issues-based. It's not economic. It's not analytical. Not ultimately, at least, in any of those senses. Trump's mass appeal is mythic. We are living in a period of profound mythological renewal. And those who still find themselves in the old liberal modernist mindset have been caught completely blindsided by this shift. It's something called remythologization. And remythologization involves reconceptualizing or replacing a society's existing dominant myths in light of what are often dramatically changing, disruptive circumstances. So remythologization takes place at critical historical moments of extraordinary disruption and global changes. And I think that's exactly what's going on in our time today. In fact, if you think it through, the whole Operation Midnight Hammer was itself rather mythic, wasn't it? I mean, the whole rhetoric surrounding the operation harkened to a kind of Trump acting like a national god, the god emperor, the emperor of an empire, maintaining cosmic order by suppressing chaotic forces threatening society and nature. You see things like this in ancient Babylonian myths, ancient Egyptian myths, the role of the pharaoh or the Babylonian emperors to function like a god on the world stage and destroy the forces of chaos and evil, destabilizing global order. That's very much the rhetoric that we've been hearing about Iran. Again, for right or for wrong, I'm just fascinated by the almost mythic sense of it, that Iran is the number one fomenter of instability throughout the Middle East. And if they get a bomb, that is a cataclysmic threat to humanity. And so even the stealth bombing mirrors this ancient belief that warfare is a divine tool to quell threats to cosmic harmony. And stealth is the key here. I think it goes way beyond Sun Tzu's principle that all warfare is based on deception, right? Where military success relies on manipulating the enemy's perception and expectations rather than simply overpowering them with brute force. I think Trump almost played something very much like a Loki role in all this, right? Loki is the Norse god of mischief and deception, but he was known as a master of illusion and transformation, where he creates problems through cunning and then also solves them through even greater deception. But the key here is that in all of this, in the Loki idea and Sun Tzu, in sort of the Babylonian, Egyptian, cosmic chaos myths, the key here is that there is an intelligence. There is an intentionality. There is a strategy operative that transcends the consciousness of our enemies. It comes from on high, as it were. And it's something that our enemies are simply helpless against. And we'll have to see, but that does appear to characterize Iran at the moment. Iran faces very, very limited options. All of their regional proxies, from Hamas to Hezbollah, even the Houthis in Yemen, they seem relatively defanged at the moment. So they're very limited in what they can do. They have some proxies in Iraq, so we'll have to see what happens there with our military bases. And of course, there is concern that there may have been some sleeper cells that slipped through the southern border under Biden's non-watch. But as things stand, I mean, it looks like Iran is just incredibly limited in terms of their retaliation. Any continued resistance would likely result in further international humiliation, while the regime might be wise to seek negotiations for survival, having been completely outwitted, as it were. But regardless, I think Trump demonstrated not just to the nation, but to the world, just how mythic our military really is, and as such, how mythic he really is as well.